It is in the middle of the night. Hi. And I didn't feel like putting on makeup. So I decided to just come on camera and I'm going to try to do as much content as I can tonight. But it will be broken into 10-minute increment videos because, again, I'm wearing a filter. Okay. So I got into okay, so I did a video that I decided not to post because this keeps happening where my child interrupted me twice and it kind of like threw me off and stuff. So I ended up deleting the videos, but they actually dealt with racism between blacks and Hispanics, and at some point I do want to do that video, and it touches deeply personal to me because my daughter is a quarter Mexican, and yeah, I want to talk about that stuff, but not at this exact second. So right now I want to talk about other things. So I wrote down some topics, and let's see. Can men and women be friends? This is one I've been wanting to do for a long time. Do I believe that heterosexual men and women can be friends, or bisexual men and women can be friends? I do. But I do think that it is very natural on both ends to consider that person as, like, for more than friendship. That's one. And two, it has been my experience that when a man is friends with a woman, it's usually someone who he is interested in or had been interested in that she did not want to be more than friends, and so he settled for a friendship. I don't want to get too personal because I just don't, but I'll just say that I've seen that time after time, and I've also been on the receiving end of it. I want to share my personal experience. Many years ago, I met a guy online. Not this is complicated because you know how I told you guys I have like almost never met anybody from a dating site. I said I only met one person. Well, that was as an adult. But I had talked to someone as a minor. That's a long story. I'm not going to get into it, but this was someone who I had communicated with before I ever met them in person. And I was not interested in this man. He sounded way older than me. I hadn't seen him yet. Mind you, again, I was a minor and now I'm 42. So we're talking, oh dear, 26 years ago. Oh my gosh. Because I was 16 when I first started talking to him. And anyway, I just wanted friends. Like, I was actually on there for friends, not for lovers, okay? For the most part. I was actually hung up over this one guy, the first love, who was abusive. Anyway, that's another story. But yeah, I met this guy who would become my friend. We're going to call him Darren because that was his fake name. His fake name was Darren. I'm not kidding. Was it Darren or Daryl? I think it was Darren was his fake name. Okay, so we're going to call him by his fake name, Darren. Anyway, Darren, he was 25 to my 16. And he wanted to meet me. We would have these great conversations. Strangely enough, I know that sounds insane, and I think that says a lot for his maturity level that he was having great conversations with a 16-year-old. But as it were, we would have these great conversations, and we ended up becoming close, but I did not have any interest in him romantically. I wanted a guy who was around my age and who felt like he was around my age, and this guy felt like damn near my parents' age, even though he wasn't, he was only like, 9-ish years older than me or something, but he felt like he was around my parents' age. Anyway, so when I went to live with my ex, Brandon, the guy from the old videos, I call him Bunny and stuff. When I went to go live with him, Darren had a fit. He was super upset about it. And mind you, I left this out. This guy was married with 2 kids. I just found out that his daughter is married and has a child. I was trying to find him because we became estranged. This was my choice. I stopped communicating with him 12 years ago. And a lot has changed in my life over those 12 years. And it took me a really long time to desire to be friends with him again or to catch up with him again. And a lot of changes in my life and stuff before I was like, you know what, let me try to get in touch with him. And when I seriously pursued him, I could not find him. But strangely enough, I was able to find some of his family members, but not him, including his daughter, but not him. And because he's married, I don't feel comfortable reaching out to his wife or his daughter and being like, hey, yeah, I used to know your dad, da da da, can you tell him to get in touch, what I mean? So it's like I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. But I guess if we're meant to, ever cross paths again, we will. I think that morally he's a pretty messed up person. So, I mean, it's definitely not the end of the world. It's just someone who as far as friends go, he would have been the friend that I would have known the longest because I literally knew him from 16 to 30, going on 31. I was almost 31 when I ended the friendship. So to know somebody for that long and like for me, because again, I didn't have any other friends that had been in my life like that, then, it had a huge impact on me. And but when I cut him off, I cut him off. I hope this makes sense, but he had ideas about me. And if it was reciprocated, then we would never have stopped talking. We stopped talking because it wasn't because I just wanted to be friends with him. And he didn't understand that. He's one of these guys that only wants a woman for what we can give them romantically and sexually. And outside of that, he doesn't have much use for us, at least if you're not related to him. So that was the problem. I don't think it's a great loss or anything, but it's just more like a curiosity of and just kind of wanting to catch him up on my life because the last he heard, I was just in a very different space than what I'm in now. So hope that makes sense. Anyway, what else is going on? But yeah, he proved to me because he would come on to me all the time. It got to the point where I didn't even want to be around him physically. Like on the phone, we were good, but physically he would come on to me and that ruined the friendship. Like him having all those sexual and romantic ideations or whatever towards me, it ruined our friendship, So anyway, hope that makes sense. And that was one friendship. I have an acquaintance who is kind of like that, but this person lives in another state, so I don't have to worry about them getting fresh with me in person, but they come on to me a lot, and talk about dirty fantasies and stuff to the point where I've cut them off multiple times. And if this person wasn't so valuable to me, then I would just cut them off completely. But I do see their value, and so I just know that when they start to get weird, not to talk to them anymore. I know that sounds bad, but it's a handful of people I'm willing to make exceptions for, but I have cut him off for several months at a time before. But yeah, I will say that as a woman, and I'm not even an exceptionally attractive woman, as I've talked about on here many times, yes, I have been hit on by so-called male friends. And I'm not saying that they all do it and that they do it to every woman and so on and so forth, but it is very common for male friends to desire the female friend for sex or romance. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Bye.